My next statement is going to be even more true in 2024 when Oklahoma and Texas are on board, and you could have the 11th or 12th best team in the SEC be a pretty darn good football team.
Really could.
But even right now, as I look around the league at Mississippi State, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Arkansas, there are reasons to be excited about all those teams. And of course, they all have questions and limitations, and they all have interesting storylines. KJ Jefferson, Rocket Sanders back, Sam Pittman really facing his first adversity at Arkansas. South Carolina, Shane Beamer seems to be pushing all the right buttons and seems to be the right guy for that job. And certainly Lane Kiffin coming back to Ole Miss. And they're in a good way, but they've got a loaded quarterback room and a decision to make there. The unfortunate transition that had to be made at Mississippi State after a 9-4 season, but Will Rogers is back to set more records. There's a lot of teams that could be 6-6, but really good football teams, or things could break right and they could go 9-3 and be some kind of a factor.
What you said just now is really what makes this league as good as it is. But it's really the middle to the bottom of this league as far as what makes them who they are. And I tell you, a team to watch out for is Zach Arnett's Mississippi State team. I mean, I like Will Rogers. They're not going to do much air raid this year. And again, boy, are we going to miss Mike Leach again. But I give Zach Arnett a lot of credit for what he's done. Will Rogers is going to throw the ball more down the field. Tremendous quarterback in a lot of ways. Quavarius Marks, I think he's going to be fine at running back. But what I like about them, this is a veteran team. I mean, Arnett has said people are going to be surprised how good we're going to be because we've got so many fifth and sixth year guys that are really going to make a difference with them too. So that's why I mentioned that LSU game early on, Mark, at Mississippi State, how dangerous that could be, particularly if LSU loses a few starters against FSU.
Brent Beard, First Coast News. The podcast is Second Helpings. And so the emphasis there on SEC, very clever right there. And Brent also gets a Heisman vote, which is well deserved. Brent, would love to have you back prior to the week 1 matchups when we can size it all up.
Well, we'd love to do that. No doubt. That's going to be a lot of fun. And let me mention, we're only an hour away from Gainesville. So I'd be remiss if I just didn't say a little bit about them real quick. Justice Boone is the first major injury so far. He was an edge rusher for Florida, tore an ACL. Boy, I hate that, Mark, when they do that early on in the year, particularly. So they've got to find some replacements for him. Austin Armstrong he was at Alabama for a cup of coffee, then at Southern Miss, is going to be a terrific defensive coordinator for them and do some real good things. Graham Mertz has been named the starting quarterback. We all knew that was going to happen. Montreal Johnson and ETN's a really good running back room. I do a podcast with Shane Matthews, the Gator quarterback. Mark, he thinks Florida is at minimum 8-4. 19, they'd sign a contract right now for 8-4, brother, without any problem. I'm not saying they're going to be 8-4, but I do think they could be 6-6 to 8-4. Utah game is important, but the big game for Florida is on September the 16th when Tennessee comes in on that one. So all I'm saying is now Mertz is not going to win the Heisman, and Florida is not going to win double-digit games, but I do think they'll be better. I like that coaching staff. I like Billy Napier. As you know, he's recruiting well. So all that to say, and I'm not even calling him a dark horse yet, but I'm just saying, Mark, for people not to overlook a Gator team that could be better than we think they are.
Yeah, and you mentioned Billy Napier's pursuits on the recruiting trail. If he can just win enough games to keep the detractors off his back and the fans off of his back and hold this recruiting class, then he can bridge to 24 and go from there and really install what he wants to do and the kind of roster that he should have going forward. All right, Brent, we appreciate you stopping by again. Check out Brent's work there, Second Helping Podcast in particular. Where are the best routes to find your work?
Most everything I do is on at Brent Beard on Twitter. That's really the best place to find it. Facebook. Also, folks are welcome to do that too, particularly for First Coast News. And on Twitter, we've got, and what I try to do on Twitter during the day is at odd times just kind of update it for the guy or the woman that's at work that wants to know about their team. Go on Twitter. I retweet a lot of stuff, and people can kind of keep up with college football and basketball on my Twitter account. I've just imagined, and I'm like everybody else. I want to know what's going on when I get a break, sitting in the car, at lunch or whatever, and can update Twitter feed very quickly. Twitter's still one of the greatest things ever invented for what we do. So certainly encourage folks to be able to go to at Brent Beard, BEAIRD. We have all the vowels. Glad for folks to check in. Certainly give us a direct message, and we're always glad to be on with you, Mark, and appreciate, brother, all you do for college football.